a writer, you know that writing a book is only the beginning. Once you complete that manuscript, it is time to move on to editing. But what exactly does that mean? Editing can include a variety of different kinds of edits that are aimed to improve your manuscript, refine your writing, and create a final product that your readers can enjoy. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the different phases of editing a novel and answer some frequently asked questions, like if you should hire a pro and how to know what kind of editing your manuscript needs, as well as sharing some really good tips on how to get the most out of the process and save some time. Hi, I'm BRIT from Thriving Scribes, and I help indie authors build sustainable publishing careers, and that all starts with publishing your very first book. And if you watched this video, then you'll know that the editing process breaks down into 3 distinct phases: self-editing, workshopping, and professional editing. Self-editing is an essential step in the writing process after you have completed the first draft of your manuscript. Self-editing allows you to identify any errors in your writing or plotting structure, as well as any overall inconsistencies throughout the manuscript, while ensuring that your writing is clear, cohesive, and engaging. So let's take a look at what the self-editing process would look like. The very first step here is to actually read through your complete manuscript without changing anything. This initial read-through will give you an overview of your story and help you highlight any inconsistencies, plot holes, or pacing problems. How I personally do this is, as I am editing, I will create a fresh database inside of Notion, which is my favorite project management and organizational tool. And as I am going through the reading process of my manuscript, I will fill in different things that I am noticing. So any inconsistencies, any notes that I want to refer to later when I am doing the actual editing process. And so I have that all of my notes and all of my ideas for improving the manuscript all in one place. And of course, I have that organized by the specific page number or scene so that I can come back easily and find exactly what I was talking about. This just allows me to stay organized and focused as I am working through the editing process. Once you finish the initial read-through of your manuscript, then you can begin to go back and start working on specific areas that you would like to improve one at a time. So for instance, maybe you're wanting to address the areas in which your writing is weak or where your dialogue needs some improvements. Maybe you're focusing on novel-long character development or making sure that you are ironing out any kinks in your world-building details. Story structure, plot, theme, pacing, all of those may need your attention here as well. Again, at this point, you should be able to refer back to those notes that you kept during the initial read-through. I recommend that you start with the largest issues first, such as plot or story pacing, and then work your way down to the smaller, more nitty-gritty details like grammar or sentence structure. During this self-editing phase, don't be afraid to make big changes to your manuscript if you need to. Cut out entire portions, rework a complete scene, move things around, and even feel free to add in new scenes that maybe need to fill some gaps in your storyline. Once you've tackled those larger big picture things, then you can go back and do another read through if you need to, focusing on those smaller details like grammar, sentence structure, spelling, and punctuation. The goal here is to make sure that your writing is clear and concise and that your story is consistent and engaging for the reader. This process can seem daunting, but there are some tools out there that can help make this process go smoother or easier for you as somebody who is self-editing your novel. For example, there are different editing softwares out there, quite a few actually, that can help you pinpoint the different areas of your manuscript that might need some reworking. So some examples of this would be Grammarly or Pro Writing Aid. My favorite, however, of all the different tools that I've tried is AutoCrit. AutoCrit is an online software that is designed specifically to help authors self-edit their novels. It analyzes your writing and provides detailed feedback on different aspects of your novel, like pacing, dialogue, sentence variation, and even repetition. Basically, it generates these little reports of your writing and highlights different areas that could use some improvements, as well as even making some suggestions for making those improvements. I think my favorite part about using AutoCrit is that it highlights different things that are easily overlooked when you're the only one who has been looking at your manuscript for so long. You wrote it and you are going through the self-editing process, and sometimes that means that we can look over things or skip through things that might really need our extra attention, and that is really where AutoCrit shines in my personal opinion. I'll have the link down in the description box if you want to check out any of the tools that I mentioned in this video, AutoCrit included. But do keep in mind that when using these tools that they are just that. They're tools, and they shouldn't be relied on as the only methods of editing your work and proofreading. Now, even though I have edited a variety of my own works, I am not a professional editor by any means. However, my friend Stacy Juba over with Shortcuts for Writers is. Her course, The Book Editing Blueprint, provides a step-by-step process and guide for navigating self-editing, from highlighting common writing mistakes to creating that polished final version of your novel. I've taken this course myself and I learned so much from her teachings inside of that course. For example, finding and fixing plot holes and tightening up prose. So I definitely recommend going to check out that course as well if you are interested in learning more about the self-editing process and improving your techniques. You could also get started by grabbing her free 5-day course, Line Editing Made Simple, and I'll make sure that I have those links down in the description box for you to go and check them out. The final thing that I do here in the self-editing process, particularly towards the end of the process, is to utilize a text-to-voice app. These apps read your story back to you in a computer-generated voice that allows you to make misspellings and typos that you may have missed through a read-through yourself much more obvious. By listening to your manuscript being read out loud, you can identify areas that you may have missed when you were doing the previous steps. Many of the tools that you already use to write, like Word and Google Docs, already have this tool built in, but there are also some free or low-cost options out there as well. At this point in the process, you've done just about all that you can do on your own, and your manuscript should be as clean as possible with all of the kinks ironed out. And that leaves you with an important decision. Do you trust your judgment and continue on the process of self-publishing this novel, or do you need to take some more time and get feedback from an outside source? Even if you are pretty confident in the writing and the editing that you've done, I like to tell the authors that I work with that your eyes shouldn't be the only ones on your manuscript before you hit publish. Having someone else look at your story can help you identify things that you otherwise may have missed, inconsistencies, and help make sure you are hitting those reader expectations, and ultimately just create a stronger final product. There are several options for getting feedback on your work depending on your budget, your network, and your timeline. The main two ways are through workshopping and professional editing. Workshopping is the process of working on your story with a person or a group of people who are not professionals. This may come in the form of a critique partner, which is another writer whom you swap stories with to provide valuable feedback on each other's work. You may already have a good writer friend who is perfect for this job, or you may need to go out and find one in an online community or in the outside world. But my biggest tip here for working with a critique partner is to make sure that they are knowledgeable and experienced in your genre. For example, if you are writing a romance and the person who's critiquing your romance novel knows absolutely nothing about the romance genres and what the readers of romance are expecting in their books and how you can make a romance reader satisfied, then it's likely not going to be the right fit person to critique your work. If you are looking for a critique partner, consider reaching out to author communities or even Facebook groups that are dedicated to helping authors connect with each other. There may even be a specific critique partner searching Facebook group that you can join right now and go and find your right fit. Aside from those options, there are also websites out there like Scribophile, which actually provide a service for authors to post their work online and have their work critiqued by a group of other authors who are doing the same. Typically, these sites are organized by genre, and so you will get a vast variety of different kinds of feedback for your work when you utilize services like these. Again, I'll have the link to Scribophile down below for you to go check out if you're interested in that. The other main type of workshopping your novel comes in the form of a beta reader. So opposite to a critique partner, a beta reader is an actual reader of that genre who is then reading your work and giving you some feedback on it. Again, just like with the critique partner, this is happening pre-publication, before your final manuscript is ready to actually hit the shelves. As with the critique partner, it's important to make sure that your beta reader is knowledgeable or is a pretty avid reader of your genre so that they are familiar with the trends and expectations within that genre. That way, their feedback is going to be as valuable to you as possible. There are also websites out there dedicated to helping authors find and connect with beta readers, as well as some services out there that help facilitate the process as well. Keep in mind that when it comes to the feedback you are receiving through workshopping, that ultimately it is your decision on which of the suggestions and which of the feedback types that you get that you actually implement into your manuscript. Remember that you know your story best, and sometimes it's best to use your own judgment. That said, do be open to feedback, as the critiquers and beta readers that you utilize are doing you a really valuable favor that can ultimately help improve your manuscript for the better. Finally, we have professional editing. While paid options are definitely an investment and the cost will depend heavily on the type of editing that you need and the length of your manuscript, they can also provide you professional level feedback and guidance on making your manuscript polished. One of the most common questions that I get asked by authors and by my clients is, do I need to invest in professional editing? So let's cut to the chase here. At this point, you have already put in the time to self-edit your novel, and you've hopefully completed the workshopping phase as well. So you should have a pretty good idea of where your manuscript is and what it needs, if anything else, in order to help it shine. If you are still struggling at this point with your manuscript and you feel like there is a lot that needs to happen in order to improve it, professional editing is ideal for readers who need that extra level of guidance and personalized feedback that only somebody who does this at a professional level can help you with. I found that working with a professional editor can almost be kind of like a transformative experience, kind of like taking a personalized writing class. For example, through working with professional editors in the past, I learned a lot about what my writing strengths and weaknesses were and how I can not only fix those problems, but also avoid it in the future. So in addition to receiving expert feedback and learning to improve your writing, another benefit to professional editing is that they can sometimes pinpoint different areas of your work that could ultimately become a costly mistake. For example, pros are usually able to better highlight areas that could otherwise go unnoticed, saving you time and money in the long run. So these really are the considerations for you when you are trying to decide on whether or not you should invest in professional book editing. When it comes to professional editing, another important thing is to understand exactly what kind of editing you need so you can hire the right person. So when it comes to pro editing, there are 4 different main kinds to look for and that you can hire. Developmental editors provide an assessment of the overall big picture of your manuscript. Things like plot structure, pacing, character development, those kinds of big picture things that might need reworking. Line editing is all about improving the language and style of your writing, so sentence structure, word choice, overall readability. Copy editing involves looking for grammar, spelling, and punctuation errors. So a copy editor is really helpful in making sure that your manuscript adheres to industry standards and that it's the very best quality that it possibly can be when it hits the shelves. And finally, proofreaders are that last resort, the final stage before publication, to ensure that your manuscript is error-free and ready for publication. So how do you decide what kind of editor you need to invest in for your manuscript? Again, at this point, you've already gone through the self-editing and the workshopping, so you should have a pretty clear idea of what it is your manuscript needs. So pairing that with the knowledge of those 4 different kinds of editors that I just talked about, you should be able to identify what kind of editor you are looking for. For example, if you want some feedback on the plot structure of your story or some character development issues that you need some help working out, then a developmental editor is probably your best choice. However, if you are just looking for somebody to do a read-through and make sure that there are no grammar, spelling, or other type of blatant language errors, then a proofreader or copy editor is probably who you are looking for. So there you go. I hope this walkthrough has been helpful for you for navigating the book development process. Before we head off, I want to share my very best tips for making the best experience out of the professional editing process. So number 1, just like when we were talking about workshopping, we want to make sure that the editor that you hire is knowledgeable in your genre. So be sure to check out their portfolios and see what other authors and stories they've worked with, because especially when it comes to a developmental editor, if they do not fully understand reader expectations and trends inside of that genre, then they're not probably going to be the best fit to edit your book for the very best results. Also, when it comes to professional editing, this is something that you are going to need to most likely schedule ahead of time in advance. This is because editors are typically booked out sometimes weeks and months into the future. So as soon as you know when you are going to need an editor, be sure to get those scheduled in on time. This allows you to ensure that both you and your editor's timelines align to be able to benefit you both and have the editing relationship go smoothly. Finally, communicate your concerns with your editor. Let them know what issues you are having or what you are finding hardest when it comes to getting your manuscript in shape. This way they'll be able to provide, again, that valuable customized feedback to you on the specific areas of your book where you really need them. Be sure to ask for both critiques and compliments, because a good editor will not only tell you all of the things that you're doing amazing, but also those areas, again, which need the most attention and in the ways in which you can improve them. Finally, I just want to remind you one last time that all feedback is subjective and you have the final say on what changes are actually implemented within your manuscript. Not everything will resonate with you, your story, or maybe even your readers. So use your judgment when it comes to deciding what different changes and tweaks to make to your story. Thanks for joining me today. I hope this was helpful, whether you are a newbie author or you're a seasoned pro looking to improve your writing. The editing process is truly an essential step to making sure you're putting out quality books that your readers will enjoy, which is a keystone for us authors who are trying to build sustainable careers. On that note, if you want to see the entire process of taking a book from idea to publication and beyond, then definitely go and check out the video that you see on your screen right now, because in that video I will share my entire zero to published framework.